Hi, everyone. Welcome. Second week, or second time we meet. Trying to get a status update of our efforts for the Blob viewer on the source editor. And we have one point. I'll add another point in the agenda in the meantime. But Dennis, do you want to start? Kick us off?
Sure. So, unfortunately, I didn't have a lot of time to dive into this due to the group level efforts for 14.0, but I did have enough time to test different approaches for eager loading of Monaco in the product with some different combinations and things. And from my experiments, the less intrusive and the most performant way of doing that would be to use the preload resource hint. So directly resource hint that preloads Monaco chunk. I've tried with prefetch. That would be the natural thing to do, considering that we don't really need Monaco on all the views, and it's just like really prefetching mechanism that we have to look into. But prefetching leads to the very undesirable effect of double fetching on the actual editor views, because prefetching happens with the lowest priority possible. This means that and happens when the browser is idling. So this means that the first hit to Monaco will be done from like main.js, then source editor, then Monaco in the main bundle, so to speak, before we get to the prefetching phase of Monaco. So in reality, this means to double fetching. It leads to double fetching on the editing screens. It does make things good for or like nearly unchanged for all of the rest routes. But from my experience, from what I see in the tests that I run, preload doesn't make things any worse than prefetch. So preload makes things pretty much the same for general routes and improves the things for the editor routes. I've also tried with our standard defer policy for like just including the web, like creating the new webpack entry in the configuration, adding that entry together with all those like Sentry performance bar and things like this. The problem is that Monaco is already chunk. Converting it into the new entry would be not very desirable from what I think. So I introduced the entry for the whole source editor, but this means that if we just use the defer for source editor, this means that we are deferring and fetching not only Monaco, but all the things that constitute the source editor. And since this is the defer thing, the execution and parsing of that JavaScript happens in the sequential order after we are done with the DOM, like after DOM ready. We execute those things still in sequential order, the way they appear on the page. This means that any script that goes after this source editor entry point will be postponed for the time of parsing, source editor and Monaco included. That is very undesirable. That's the reason why we don't want Monaco to be included globally as the global import. So from all of these experiments and from all these tests, I figured out that simple preload resource hint is the most performant one for our case, and doesn't create the undesirable side effects of double fetching. So that's why I've pushed the merge request. Actually, pushed it just now, right before this call. And yes, I will still run proper site speed tests comparing master and this branch on some major routes, including the editor. We'll post to the description of the merge request, but I won't do it today because I'm officially out of the office technically today.
Oh boy, we didn't hear that.
No.
What are you doing here?
Thank you so much, Dennis, for that update. Yeah, those site speed tests will be.
I have those on my screen if you're interested to see the things.
Share
But
it.
they are they are just so let's take a look here. Yes. So do you see this thing?
Yeah.
So okay. The numbers you see here might be completely off simply because like you see here, like 60 seconds and 60 seconds, simply because this one run here timed out. If you take a look at the numbers, so the first run was like running out, so it was timing out after 60 seconds. So that's why the numbers are off. So I had to technically go and pick the run that was successful to compare the things. And if we, so for this like, yeah, let's figure it out. So this part is master. This is the current master. All the tests were run not in production mode, but in development build. This is master. Then the bottom left corner is prefetch. Top right corner preload. Bottom right corner is the regular deferred manner of loading whole source editor. So the numbers, what I was surprised to see actually is that a prefetch and preload in the dev environment constantly showed lower numbers for, like, we don't show LCP here, but they do show a lower LCP than master. That was very puzzling, but I tried to rerun the tests, recheck, and I constantly was getting numbers a bit lower than master. I have no idea why. I also encountered the difference in time to first byte, so that we compare apples to apples and do not include time that we might lose on establishing the connection. So I was checking time from time to first byte to actual to the LCP, for example, to the registered LCP. So that was the like I tried to account the difference in time to first byte in different runs to make sure that the LCP won't be affected by our changes. And it doesn't affect, it's not affected. And as I said, surprisingly enough, somehow it makes numbers a bit lower than master. I don't know why. I don't believe this is going to be the case in production because there is no reason for that. But at least this tells me that the numbers shouldn't be worse than master on most routes. The only thing that we can see is actually the editing, the edit screen. So it is a bit worse for preload for some arbitrary reason again. This, as I said, to have the proper sort of comparison, I will have to run things against production build because there are way too many, and probably I will take not 3 runs but 5 runs to make it really like some measurable statistical data. And I
lost him.
Hello.
I lost you for a second. Are you
Okay.
back? Yeah, you're back.
I'm back. I'm back. So where have you heard what I was saying, or was I talking to myself?
No, you were good. You're saying that you want to run for multiple tests, 5 tests.
Yes. I will have to run I think 5 tests for every branch, like master and the branch in my merge request, and definitely it has to be run against the production build so that we have something that is significant statistical data. Yep. So
okay.
That's the thing. But like in general, things do make sense, and yeah. So like you can see here, like this number is completely off, of course, because we were timing out. But for these things, so we have total requests 31 in master, 35 in master, and now we have 32 and 35 here. Like 32 makes sense because we do make one additional request. 35 doesn't make sense because we still have to make one more request. But this again tells me here that technically preload has happened, and we like in this particular case, we still fetch Monaco, right, on master. So the request to Monaco goes out, and it is included in 35. Here we just substitute that request with preload, so this number is the same. So technically this does make sense, but on the screens that do not include editor by default, we have to have +1 request and not this arbitrary number.
Okay. Good. Thanks for that insight. This is useful. Yeah. Looking forward to the final report so we can get the final numbers. This is good.
Yeah.
Thank you for this. So if you need me to chat with Roman to try to get you some capacity for the next milestone, let me know.
Well, it's okay. Yeah.
I know.
Not for the record. Right?
No, I know that you have a lot of stuff on your plate, so thank you for finding the time to squeeze this in. We really appreciate it. Cool. Can I move on? Do you have anything else to show us? Awesome. So I wanted to give you an update because I chatted with Grant. Sorry, can you hear that? No. Sorry, give me a sec.
As long as you're good, we don't hear.
I'm wondering, like, what? Andrea, did you try to turn them off or something?
Are you in New York or something like that?
No, I had my house painted, so it smells like paint. So I had my window open. Never mind. So now it's closed. All right. So I chatted with Grant about our performance efforts and mainly about that topic about we are going to start measuring user flows rather than just page loads. That whole mentality shift and what that meant for the tooling that we have. And we talked about this explorations we're doing about preloading, eager loading, all that of Monaco so that the page itself is faster. And he did tell me that we're already visiting the /explore page first before we're running any tests on the quality side, on the site speed. So I'm thinking, could we leverage this for the service worker or the eager loading strategy of Monaco? Tim.
Yes, so there's the difference between the testing setup that they are doing and the measurement setup that we are doing. So they are pre-filling the cache with the preloading /explore, but we don't at the moment, at least not for the main list of pages. We have a second list of pages to try out how this is working, and if this is working, which is called desktop cached at the moment. Now comes the big question: what makes more sense? Makes more sense to switch over all the pages now to pre-cache and have a hot cache, which would totally improve our numbers by a lot, and everyone would be, oh my god, what did you do? That's awesome, which is a little bit unfair. It's a good question. The question would be also if we simply introduce on top of that to start with actions, like the action that we have in measurement for the source code browser, to get started there, because this is then also like pre-caching. But I will bring this up. I simply don't want to just go ahead and switch everything over and everyone is like, yeah, sounds great, awesome numbers, because we would definitely improve by a lot. On the other hand, I think there are some pages that we still should monitor also with a code cache, like the project homepage and issues maybe, because those are the ones that might be hit simply from non-regular users or non-pre-users. Our main focus should definitely be on the overall workflow, that's for sure. And that's why I believe any sort of pre-caching, pre-fetching is awesome and will greatly benefit users, and that's the main target, I would say, at the moment. So yeah.
Okay. I think when we talked, I think Grant is also of the mind that we still want to track the cold cache so that we see how horrible it is, and then have another edition on the warm cached side of things. So it would be nice to have the ability to track the page itself like that, like for those two scenarios. So I would be definitely going for like only doing this warm cached for special cases like this one, and not overall. I feel like that's what would be most useful for everyone. Thank you for that link.
Yeah, I just added that one, and you can see, for example, the issue detail has a LCP of 1.3 seconds. And if you go into the...
Do you want to share the screen?
Yes.
So that we see. Thanks.
So there we go. So this is basically the, go back, this goes also over there. So the desktop cached GitLab issue detail is taking currently 1.31 seconds LCP with a preloaded cache. So that's pretty fast. Now the big question comes, if this is really measuring correctly. We should check the video, because I think no one is checking the desktop cached ones over the last time. I mean, the other thing would be still that we have the performance score, because that would still show us those things. And also, if we are measuring for Lighthouse additionally, this would also give us the insight on the code cache. Come on, runs, show up, please.
Yeah, they always take a while. That's okay. And now, yeah.
There we go. That is, yeah, looks good. At least from the screenshot. So if we run the video, yeah, there you can see the explore page, and then we land on the issue page. Wait a second. 1.312 LCP. I might have bad news. Why doesn't it show the LCP here?
I think it does show, but oh no, it was yeah, LCP under 1.8.
Yeah, but not on the film strip, because what I believe is that when it says here 1.312, and if you look at the video, that's still the explore page. What is measured?
Yeah.
So we are measuring in those cases the LCP from explore and not issue. So I think we need to go, before we activate anything, we should definitely go in there and check that too, how we are doing that. Good that we check. So we don't have any numbers, at least not in the issue detail. Let's check the project home. That might have quite the same. Yeah, 1327. I expect this is the same topic. No? This might be even the correct one, but overall the measurements are off. We need to find a way that we just preload the cache and then start the actual measurement. I think there's one setting off at the moment. Good.
Yeah, we'll definitely look into this deeper. a little bit just to understand how this could be done. And especially once we have Dennis's proof of concept or numbers, we can potentially get this merged, and then we'll get to see how that benefits these scenarios, and then we can tweak as we need.
I will have a look at the setup there if that might be easy to change right away, so that we at least start doing more test runs with the desktop cached pages to figure out, okay, we are now having a full nice measurement setup, and then we can talk about switching over or not. So that would be my suggestion. Good.
All right, thank you. So Dennis, you have a point there. Do you want to voice it?
Yeah, I'm actually now I was double checking these things, and I'm not sure whether it's actually useful or not. But we have added the user timing metrics for the Blob view, both for the current version, the Haml application, and for the into the view version, the Blob view. Like what's that component? The Blob content view component. So we have to be measuring both Haml application and view. The problem is that I cannot find any route that would be measuring the Blob view. That's the problem. I'm not sure the view of the view of a blob.
That's the
I'm not sure we have any route to measure that, and that's really puzzling because that's the thing that we are going to improve as well. If we have any, please do let me know, because I don't find anything that would look.
You're talking about the view version of the app?
No, the view version of the app is behind the feature flag, but the current one, the Haml one.
Oh.
Because like in order to see those numbers that we are gathering with user metrics, we need the route, and I cannot find any suitable route for that. And since we are making changes and converting it into the view application, if we really don't have a route for that, we absolutely must have the route for that in the.
What do you mean? Oh, you mean on Grafana?
In Grafana, yeah. Excuse me. Which one? How is it called? Yeah.
This one is the one that we are tracking, so it should be also
this. Okay, this might. Yeah. How is it called then? Assets just. So yeah, it looks like a wonderful candidate, but I cannot find it.
Link. There you go.
Oh, okay. That's useful. So let's see. Oh, right. Oh, GitLab or GitLab Blob master app. Okay. That probably explains why I couldn't find it. Okay.
You're looking for description is just the path.
Yeah, but let me go to the page timing metrics for this view.
Share the screen if you can, Dennis, so we can see.
Sure. I'm sorry. Let's take a look here. So I'm on this dashboard for this route. For page timing metrics, this is this fancy named route. Yes, we do have user timing there. Okay, so cool. So yes, we do measure the what do we measure? We measure blob viewer like when we start loading the viewer and we finish loading the viewer. So technically, these 2 points in time we are measuring now. If we need anything else, like technically the first one when we start loading start rendering the blob view tells us how much time do we spend prior to this moment. Like this is the essential element of the screen technically, and how much time do we spend before that moment happens. And then we have the duration of how long does it take to render the blob. So these 2 points are plotted on the graphs now, and they will keep being plotted when we switch to the view version as well, because I included the same metrics in the view application.
Are those length or timestamps?
Timestamps.
Good.
These are the timestamps. These are marks. These are not measurements.
Good. So then this means that we have 200 to 300 milliseconds from
Yeah.
start.
So technically, yes. Current is 2.6. No, 2.3 before 2.3 seconds before we even start plotting the blob view on the screen. So I think this is useful to have. LCP is good, nice, but as you all know, I don't believe in general metrics. I need to know exact timestamps when things happen for the crucial elements. But that's my thing.
This also means that we simply need to have the biggest focus on reducing the time until it actually even starts.
Exactly. This clearly states that we are already beyond 2 seconds, even before the blob started rendering. So the rendering itself takes only 300 milliseconds. That's fine. For this particular file, we will get to the extreme point in the next point of our agenda. But for normal files, this should be fine.
Yeah, which also means in the summary that if we have one view app that is doing everything, basically, so that you are not loading everything before the file viewer, you are basically cutting away, you are able to cut away 2 seconds in the current workflow.
Ideally, yeah.
So even if you could even do more, because if you start with the hover preloading, this would mean that you would get quite close to
this is the thing. So what is the main bottleneck for starting loading the content? Like, apart from all of the like rendering things and parsing JavaScript, one of the main bottlenecks is getting the file content, right? Up until recently, there was no entry point that would return content so that we could dump it into the viewer. Like, there was no possibility to use the startup.js for this. Now I believe Nick in source code is working with GraphQL endpoint for fetching the content of a blob that would allow us to prefetch content for the blob. But then we have a lot of different things of questions on whether we even need to fetch the content of the blob, because for every viewer we have to make the decision of whether to render the content or not based on the size, like we did, on whether it's a binary file. So there are a lot of things prior to the rendering process that we have to figure out, that we have to have data about before we decide, okay, we do need to render this content, so okay, go fetch the content. That's the main problem with the blobs, because not every blob has to be rendered, not every blob has to output its content, and that's the main complexity. But for the regular text-like files, like code files, I believe we know that information early enough in order to be able to prefetch to use startup.js to get the content for such files.
And are we actually loading I thought we should go the route of loading the content of the file through the raw endpoint and not GraphQL.
That's when we switch to Monaco, right? To source editor.
Yeah,
there's two scenarios now. The startup.js would benefit what we have now on the Haml.
Yeah.
The other, and probably it's a fairer comparison if we do that. So we might still work on adding that to startup.js because it's such a cheap improvement.
Yeah.
So I'm going to add that to the list. Thanks.
Yeah.
But I want to go ahead. I just wanted to voice thankfulness for this addition, Dennis. This is very helpful. Thanks. Go ahead, Tim.
Yep. Because it's if you look at the run, you see also again the response takes 275 milliseconds just to get you the file rendered. And the problem is again there that it is rendered. So if you look at the raw path, let's see, so where we are. Let's do the whole thing again. Yeah, it's even now slower. It takes 919 milliseconds. Oh my god, this is so painful to watch. Sorry. And then we have the raw path, and if we take that now, you have, that's also, no, 60 milliseconds. There you go.
That's good. I like that.
Why was the first run so
I think the DNS
was 700. Okay.
56 milliseconds, 34 milliseconds, 54 milliseconds, 37 milliseconds.
Right. Okay. So around 50 milliseconds. Okay.
Yeah. And
here we go. What that was 7. Like now, wait a second. 346. And actually, it's the download time. No. What is the green color?
That's waiting.
Right. Okay. So it's the server thing. So download is 3. Actual download.
And we lost him again. Actual. Okay, Dennis, you're back. You were saying actual download.
And then my download is done, right? Yeah. So the actual download is just 3 milliseconds. So it's crazy.
Yeah.
If you take a look at the timing, so content download is 3 milliseconds. So it's all time spent is just like sitting on the server and waiting for the file to be
for this file.
This grows exponential.
So Tim, question for you, and just curiosity. One of the costs that we have here is the overhead of decorating and rendering the markup and all that, and have a bunch of markup around it. If we leverage web components here to give a far simpler markup to the browser, wouldn't that make the payload lighter? I mean, from the perspective of still transferring, we still have to pre-render it and all that.
I think we would need to take a look at the flame graph on the server side. What's the cost of it? But I think it's less about the markup itself to some extent. The markup itself is costly, but it's just parsing that thing and figuring out what it is and having the tokenizers. And I believe we have that this library wasn't updated for a long time. It's out of maintenance, etc. So simply that amount, but this is not only about saving the time, how long something takes then on the client. This is also about saving us tons of server costs. This is, if you take this away, this is a huge chunk of server time that we currently do. Every time you load a file, we are sending it through a very costly thing. So
this is a very good point, and we have not we, but the I believe it's like Grant. It's quality team, right? I think. So the quality team has perfect example where one can simply go to the generated file like we do here, and like it takes forever to just output those lines on the screen, and there is no parsing really here going on, right? So, but it's still enormous amount of time spent on the server.
Yeah, and from the backend side, this is one of the, I think it's even in the top 3 or top 5 of most costly things that we do on the server at the moment that you see in the overall infrastructure, apart from database and all that stuff. But parsing files, parsing comments and descriptions for Markdown. Those are hugely expensive operations that we currently do on the backend. And if we are able to offload this to the client in a very performant way, this is a double win, I would say.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that. I mentioned that because the backend team is exploring for other reasons in other cases, leveraging the Vue component on that's Vue, VIEW, Vue component strategy on the Rails side to render things. And that came up on the recent blog post that the competition released, and that enticed my curiosity. But yes, definitely the raw file is just get the raw file from Gitly and just give it. So definitely will be faster. All right. Anything else here on the user timings? Good. Thanks. This is definitely going to be useful for us to track the impact of each step. And thanks for that. I wanted to raise this one thing that happened. So Grant a couple of weeks ago raised some performance issues on our repo pages after we added the Monaco, and after Dennis then fixed it to not be included if the feature flag is not on. Even then, the numbers were still high. And it looks like we have a glitch somewhere in the tooling, and I wanted to talk a little bit about what our understanding is of it. So there was an issue. There was actually two issues. He raised one for the LCP and one for the TBT that are now closed. It seemed, and I know that Dennis, you looked into this a little bit, and now they have an issue for the investigation that I linked there in the agenda. Do we have any idea what caused this? Is this a blocker for us? Is this not a blocker for us? What do we think?
This is not a blocker for us in general, not for the product. And from again, I'm talking from my experience done for this. Like I've made a lot of research and a lot of testing for this. I've even created the test project to confirm that the cause of the problem is actually the file size of that is being rendered in that particular test. The problem is that there is some what seems like at the moment some correlation between side speed 17 and the latest Chrome versions. So even this is exactly the case where even if you go directly to the file, to the raw content of the file that is being tested there, your Chrome will just freeze. So Chrome, like it takes forever to load things, and then when you start scrolling, it just like hides chunks of the code. It's just like it becomes totally unusable. So there is clearly the correlation between the file size and the Chrome version and the tests, but I still need to dive deeper. And yeah, I didn't look into it this week. And Naila asks me whether they can help with further investigation. I wrote that I will get back to this next week. So I will take a look and take a deeper look into how this is done. But that happened to me locally as well. So I created the test project where I took that original file that they're using in the test and created several versions of it, like 100% of the length, 80% of the length, 60, 50. So the things go fine on when the file size is 50% of the original size, and things completely crash for me when the file size is 60% and up. So technically, my site speed, like my Chrome in my local site speed setup just completely crashes. Like it refuses to do anything while it's running totally fine with 50%. So I suspect there is a correlation, but I need to prove this with some further investigation.
Jacques, it would be nice for us to look into this as well to probably assist Dennis in this exploration. So get deep on that issue if you can in the meantime, and help out if you have any insight. Cool.
Yes. So the in this issue 17, I think it's the last link in here. So investigation in, and then the URL. So in that link, I'm linking to the test project that I've created to use with this like discrete file sizes, and I explained the rationale behind my way of thinking.
Cool.
So yeah, if you could help with further investigation, that would be super helpful.
We'll take a look. More than one pair of eyes, see more things. So
Absolutely.
We'll see what we find. Cool. Thanks. Any more thoughts there? Can we move on?
And yeah, well, just one more thing. Like this happens. Like the one more argument to suspect Chrome is that things run smoothly in Firefox because Firefox doesn't measure LCP, right? So things go smoothly in Firefox no matter the file size.
Interesting. Got it. All right, Tim, you have the next one.
Just a funky thought for a future extension to our file viewer. Maybe streaming might be an option, so that we don't wait for the full load, but rather do the classic, okay, let's open up and then put chunks into Monaco. Might be something worth, as we have large files, and that is always a topic. And so we wouldn't need to wait for the full file to get loaded, but rather pipe good old node skills. So that might be an option there. Just came to my mind.
But so far it's a feature request, right? On Monaco.
It's a feature request. I only saw a feature request on Monaco, but might be something.
That's how they start.
Yes, it might be something to observe and keep for the future. Because yes, I think large files might be definitely a topic for us.
But to make it fair play, like feature requests on Monaco do not necessarily end up in features. Like there is the feature to support mobile editing for years, and just everybody just says, "Come on, no, please, no." So yeah, features, but streams is an interesting topic. So I hope there will be some time to get there.
Yeah, sounds like a great feature to add. Cool. Do you have any more points? All right. This has been productive. Thank you. So we'll reconvene. We'll meet again in 2 weeks, and by then, hopefully, we'll have some more things to share about what we've learned. But this is good. Thank you so much for the update. And yeah, I did include some bits of the performance improvements for the source code side on the OKRs for this quarter. And I am counting on this work helping that a lot. So let's go for it. And thank you everyone for joining us. Great to see everyone.
Bye. Take care.